groups and segments. Starting with groups, groups are going to be your static, kind of standalone buckets of emails. Now, some common examples of groups that I see, we see newsletter here. Sometimes I see just a master list, maybe a blog list if you have a blog on your website. But one main group that we want to create is going to be your MindBody group. This is going to be the group that syncs up with your contacts, that syncs your contacts each night from MindBody. Now, a big note here, do not manually add contacts to the group used for syncing with MindBody. So if we created this MindBody group, we just click create a group, type in MindBody, maybe MindBody sync, and click create. Now, when we do sync up our MindBody account, we will make sure that all of our nightly synced contacts are coming into this MindBody sync group. Now, again, as a point that I was mentioning before, do not manually add contacts into this group used for syncing with MindBody because the group will get erased and repopulated each night during the sync. So if you manually add contacts to this group, or if a sign-up form is set to add members there, they will be removed each night. So for instance, if you just imported a list in to this MindBody sync group, they would be then cleared out each night with that sync. So just keeping that in mind. Now, the main way that people are going to come into groups or leave groups is if you are telling them to go in or leave. That's going to be that static aspect of a group. So through an import, through a sign-up form, through an integration such as MindBody, at some point you are telling these contacts to go into this group. On the other end of the spectrum, we do have segments. This is going to be how you can target your audience further, how you can segment your audience. It's where we can shift away from just mass blasting emails and actually target our audience a little bit further, being sure to send out that relevant content. So we'll just go ahead and click create a segment, and where our groups are static, segments are going to be dynamic. So contacts are going to flow in and out of segments based on a certain criteria or a logic or a query, however you want to think about it, that you are setting up. So you set up this logic one time and then they will flow in automatically. That's all you have to do, and then it's going to be constantly searching on the back end to see who meets these criteria. So we'll click create. And now just give this segment a name. And then choose our segment type. So we have some different categories that we can segment by. First thing we see here is audience group, then contact fields. If we scroll down, we see response, and then sign up activity. So if we scroll back up, the first category, audience group, this is going to be how you can target one of your specific audience groups even further. So it's essentially a foundation or a building block for the rest of your segment. So we can say everyone who is in the newsletter group here. And the great thing is that this is going to be a live count. It's going to be a live update, which is awesome. So you don't have to click save and just cross your fingers and hope that it's set up correctly. You can actually see it all right here. So let's say we wanted to add in an additional criteria. So with this, we'll either choose and or. And is going to be the more specific, more granular segment. So if I use the and criteria, a contact will have to meet both of these in order to flow in here. They'll have to be a member of this group and also fit this criteria that I'm about to add in. With the or, if we had used the or segment, this is going to be a little bit broader, more general. A contact could be in this criteria or in this one, either one or both, and they could still flow in. So just depending on what you want to happen, picking and or accordingly. And you can always, I recommend just saying it out loud, making sure that it all makes sense. You can go back in and edit it or create a new segment, but just to make sure that everything's set up correctly on the forefront. So let's say we wanted to add in a piece of contact information here. It's really cool because we can segment by any contact information. So we can say first name, last class, first class, birthday. If we wanted to say everyone whose last class And because this is a date picker, we have options such as is before, after, in the last, not in the last, in the next. So we can say if their last class, is in the last 30 days, and we might not have anyone meet this. Yeah, this is just a test account, so we don't have anyone meet this criteria. But from here, if we did have a lot of people in here, this segment would bring in everyone who is in this newsletter group and also whose last class was in the last 30 days. And then we can target that audience and send them an email saying, hey, I see your last class was in the last 30 days. Be sure to book your next class. Be sure to, check out our upcoming calendar, anything like that. The other type of segment we can run here is going to be the response. This is great, especially if you don't have contact information on a certain audience in your in your list of subscribers. So we can see everyone who has received, not received, opened, not opened, clicked, or not clicked. So this is where you can target and send relevant content based on your audience's engagement with your emails. So we can say everyone who has opened any mailing, or we can actually choose the specific mailing. So this untitled mailing is the one we've sent the most recent. We could choose this one, or again, just say any mailing at any point. We can also, from here, send a relevant email saying, hey, based on your interest in this, you might also be interested in these 5 classes or in these upcoming workshops. Also monitoring those contacts who aren't opening, who are not engaging. We can say everyone who has not opened any mailing at any point. So finding out who is engaging, who's not engaging, super important to just be able to monitor your list and your list health, and again, your list growth. The last category we have here is going to be the sign-up activity. So just finding out who is signing up or managing their preferences within a certain time frame and using a certain sign-up form. So you can say, okay, I want to see everyone who has signed up within the last month or within the last 6 months using this specific sign-up form here. So once you've added the logic or added the criteria that you want to add into your segment, you will just click Save. Maybe we'll exit out of this one so we can see some numbers. Click Save, and then we have a segment within our segment section over here. So we can just click back into segments, and we see that we have segments here. Our newly created segment, we see how many members are in this segment, and we can send to groups and segments alike, either one. Sometimes people think they have to use one or the other, but really you can use a combination of both.